Okay, so I'm just about to finish up here, so I'm going to take a little more video of finishing off the connector. In the last little segment there, I completed the back four, and I again make sure you keep double checking against your pinout and the color coding, and that's why this sheet's kind of nice, because it shows the original harness. For example, on the top here that we're doing, we're concentrating on the input side, and you see here we went from a red primary to a red pigtail, and that would be our R0. Our next line is on pin, that was pin 1. Pin 2 is down here on the bottom now. It's a white red coming out of the harness, and this is one of our, those stator loop wires that is going to be free for using it for some other purpose after you have removed your the stator leg, and we're connecting that to a green. The next wire would be 3. It's a green white being connected to a white, and so our next one is the yellow, which was going to be hooked to the yellow green. Again, it's a pigtail that's coming off the solenoid, so I don't have to come through the harness. But our last wire here is the orange to orange on pin 5, and that just happens to be down here on the end. And here is that wire. Now I have, you can see that I've really kind of fanned these out nicely. You don't have to, a half inch. This one's probably a little short here. About a half inch is about right. These are, you can see, are about the same length. So I'm just going to intermesh those wires, push them up so that they're almost butted insulation to insulation. You need a little room there, because when you twist the wire together, twist it around, you don't really want the wire on top of the insulation. You want it kind of on top of itself. And so, because that's really where the solder ball, or hopefully it's not a real big solder ball, but you're going to heat the wire up and get the solder to bind these two wires together. So you're really not creating you have a good mechanical coupling between the strands, but it's not like you're going to expect it to take a load at the way it is. You're going to put some solder that's really going to tie this together. Now, the other thing, when you're twisting this together, make sure you don't have a lot of strands that are sticking out, because when you get those, once they're in solder, it's been soldered, they'll be sharp and they'll poke right through your insulation. So also, again, having multiple hands always helps when you're doing soldering work. So one of the little helper's hands here, helping hands, is a little clip I have. Again, a clothespin or something else equivalent will work. And so I'm gonna, just take my soldering iron. I've got, this is my small iron, but it's set at the high heat, and I'm wetting the tip so that I get good conduction. And then I just keep feeding the solder in into the wire that's warm. And again, this is a pretty big primary wire, so it's going to take quite a bit of heat to get that solder through there. And I don't want to get too much solder here, because again, I'll be wicking that solder all up through the wire, which I really don't want to do. I got a couple little strands here. So that's basically it. All the connections, save for this accessory wire, are here. I'm going to pull down this shrink tubing now. Let that cool off a little bit. It's probably a little warm. In fact, I think I had a couple little sharpies here. I'm going to push them down so that when I get my shrink tube on there, they don't poke through. Okay, so I'll pull this over, pull down my little 1-inch segments of shrink tubing, get that back up, and pull them right over. So you're going to basically be having a double shrink tubing here. So, I guess I forgot one of them. He's way up here in the harness. Pull him down, go back up, and there you have it. kind of even them up a little bit so it they're probably they're centered on the joints. So I'm going to heat shrink these up real quick. Won't take but a moment. So here we have 8 connections, all pretty nice lengths, so that again, this is going to be coming up like this. So they're, you know, pretty reasonable bundle, and I can now pull the shrink tube down over it. You know, one other thing, because again these are going to be you know, they're soldered, and we kind of want to stop any relative motion here. I might, you know, suggest, and we can do this pretty easily. We'll use a zip tie on both sides. This is kind of a large zip tie, but you know, with the shrink tubing, it's probably not going to matter much. So I'm going to pull that down tight on one side, clip it off here, get another one over here, and tie it down. Kind of like to get these things in the same orientation. Not that it really matters, but pull that down into here and clip that off. Okay, so now you've got all of those soldered ends are tightly, you know, bundled together, more or less immobilized, and hopefully we've got enough room. And yep, and we pull down the large shrink tubing, the 1/4 inch or 3/4 inch, and I'm just going to heat this up real quick, and that'll finish the job. Okay, so there you have it. This now is going to be the you know, the connection that we've made to go into our solid state power box. The solenoid will fit here, and we still have this one line available. You could just, if you don't have your accessory yet, you could, you know, leave this for future growth and just you know, probably in this case we just snip this off. I really wouldn't have had to strip that wire, or if you've already got it, and in this case I guess we really do, we already have this other wire here, so we could just come in here and you know, do a similar process that we did with the harness, take wherever this wire is coming from and cut it and splice it in just as we've done the rest here. So again, this is a method that there's you know, it's going to provide a good solid connection to your harness. It's not necessarily the best way to do it. It's kind of, there's nothing technically wrong with it, but it's kind of more of a field fix. I mean, I think this process I followed was, I saw a YouTube video once of an old technician that used to repair aircraft that had been shot at in Vietnam, and they'd have bullets coming through their harnesses, and so he described basically the same process of cutting the wires back and doing the twist and creating repaired bundles. The other way of doing this, instead of having these pigtails, is to have put the pins directly on the wires, on the harness wires, and then inserted them into the connector. That requires a little, you know, a crimper that's compatible with the small pins that we would have. I'm not sure if I have one here, but I had one here somewhere. But it's going to take a little bit different skill. But as you can see here, having, you know, gone through this process, there's a little, you know, fair amount of handwork required in even doing the simple solder and you know, twist and solder method. So Either way will work, and it kind of just depends on your how much familiarity you have with crimpers and pins and or how well you think you can do this soldering job. So anyhow, I'm gonna continue on probably with maybe showing how to do the pin attachment method, and we'll be seeing you later. Thanks.